Okay, so end of season 3, 11 is defending her friends from the Mind Flayer, and out of nowhere, its tongue shoots out, grabs 11's leg, and lifts her up into the air trying to eat her. Lucas comes in and saves the day, and they temporarily defeat the Mind Flayer. 20 minutes later, and Elle is using her powers to pull what looks like some awful parasite the Mind Flayer put inside of her out of her leg. It seems to take a lot out of her, and then shortly after, we see that she's lost her powers. Like, they're gone. But why did she lose her powers? What caused it? And how is she going to get them back? Is a mentor going to make an appearance in season 4 and teach her how to get them back? Or what if an enemy of hers will make an appearance to help her try to get her powers back? Welcome back everyone, it's Michael, and this is going to be my video on how 11 is going to get her powers back in season 4. We're going to break it all down. There's a few different ways we could see this happen, and we're also guaranteed to have 1 or 2 big surprise appearances in season 4 if everything works out. So be sure to watch until the end of the video. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos. We've got a great community here that loves to talk about all the same things that you love to talk about, so be sure to go down and hit that red button to join the community. We're going to jump right into it because there's a lot to talk about. Now, it's no surprise to any of my regular viewers that for a while now I've been having a lot of fun talking about all these theories for Stranger Things season 4. Once Netflix dropped their Valentine's teaser showing us Hopper's alive and well in Russia, my brain has been going to town fleshing out every viable theory for where season 4 could take us. And today we're going to finally talk about the elephant in the room of what's going to happen to Elle and how she's going to get her powers back. But first, let's recap really quick just exactly what happened before she lost them. She was fighting the Mind Flayer, then she was sneak attacked by the thing's tongue, and it sat there and had a fairly long tug of war with the kids while they fought to set her free. But once our hero came to the rescue and chopped his tongue clean off, 11 was set free and showed us that she could most definitely still use her powers, rip the Mind Flayer a second head. But shortly after, she uses her powers again, absolutely destroying 4 Russians that were about to discover her friends by launching a car through them. But then, 5 minutes later, Elle's head starts spinning, she hears a ringing in her ears, and then she passes out. She says it's her leg, which maybe the pain made her briefly black out, but then she wakes up to the most intense pain ever when they discover there's a piece of the Mind Flayer still inside of her. She uses her powers to pull the parasite out of her and throw it to Hopper for a tag team squish. It definitely looks like it took a lot out of her though, and afterwards she tells Hopper she's drained but she can still fight.
It will recharge.
I know, little kid. I know.
I can fight.
Better than any of us.
And then she thinks she can help them move a car, and it slightly moves. You can hear the car squeaking as it rocks, but her powers at low battery state aren't enough to roll the car over. Her powers are definitely still there though. Frustrated, she goes and finds a Coke can to squish like Brenner had her do in the early stages of her training, and she can't even get her powers to do that. Now, the next and final time we see her use her powers, I think, is when Billy's got her pinned down and the kids are throwing fireworks at the Mind Flayer. Elle stops Billy by telling him this memory that he connects with at his core, something she had to have used her powers to find. I don't know if one power can be exhausted while she's still able to use a different one, but she for sure used some connection with Billy to look in and pull out this specific memory to save him from the Mind Flayer's grip. But this kind of doesn't make sense. We're assuming that the Duffer Brothers removed her powers in the first place, so she can't satisfy her curiosity and search for Hopper after his death because she would find him and learn he's alive and in Russia. Without her powers, they're going to have to figure out another way of learning he's still alive. So to have her telekinesis not work to the point of where she can't squish a Coke can, while her telepathy powers work great to connect with Billy, it kind of goes against why she won't have powers at the start of season 4. And speaking of, you know what also doesn't make sense? Only 8% of you guys that watch the videos are subscribed. Shout out to that 8%, you guys are the best. And if you're part of the giant 90% that's not subscribed, what are you doing? If you enjoy the videos and want to support the channel so I keep making more videos, all you gotta do is go hit that red button to subscribe. It couldn't be any easier. Doesn't cost anything, but it helps me out a lot. I hope to at least see you guys back in the next video because I've got some good Stranger Things videos coming soon. But more on that later. Now, like I was saying, Elle thinks she's just exhausted her powers and they'll come back with time. But time passes. 3 months go by, and when she tries to move her teddy bear, she just can't do it. Now, for me, it's hard to think she actually exhausted her powers from this. When we saw her fight the Mind Flayer at the gate at the end of season 2, she literally lifted herself off the ground and started levitating while she was fighting him. That was really intense, and her powers didn't seem to need a recharge or anything. That's why it's hard for me to think that her removing a piece of the Mind Flayer is what drained her powers. And they don't seem to be on a little recharge either because of how long they've been gone for. 3 months and still no sign. This means they've either gone dormant or the Mind Flayer did something while it was inside of her to prevent her from using her powers. And while this does worry us all, there's like a solid 98% chance that Elle will be getting her powers back in season 4. Granted, she'll definitely have to overcome some challenges, but she will most likely be getting her powers back so she can fight the Mind Flayer once and for all. But first, I'm sure we're going to see Elle try to accept not having powers for the time being and try to be normal and fit in with all the other kids and fail, just like each special kid in the movies do. Then I think we're going to see Elle miss having her powers or come to some situation where she needs them, possibly to search for Hopper or fight off the Mind Flayer, and she'll have to go search for the person that can help her get him back. Which means there's a chance that we'll see 8 come back and try to help Elle get her powers back. Like we saw in Season 2, 8 is a bit older than Elle, and she understands her powers more and was able to teach Elle how to harness her powers by fueling them with negative emotions. The writers of the show said that 8 was meant to be like Yoda was to Luke, but just a twisted, darker version. Elle went on a side quest to learn about and upgrade her powers, which she did, but maybe just like Luke came back to Yoda again, maybe Elle will make her way back to 8 once more. I mean, I'm sure they could have 8 coming in to help Elle get her powers back over the course of some training, maybe to help redeem her arc in Season 2 that didn't go over so well, but personally, I would much rather see someone else help Elle get her powers back. Yup, that's right, who better than the man himself that gave her powers in the first place, Dr. Brenner. Can you imagine if there was something big enough, a threat perhaps, maybe the Russians unleashing mind-controlled demogorgons like we talked about in the other video, that forces Elle to work with Dr. Brenner so that he could get her powers back to fight the Mind Flayer and save the world? That would be awesome! He knows her powers, all the numbers powers, better than anyone. We know he's out there somewhere. His scientist worker ratted him out to Elle and 8 in Season 2. So we know he's going to make a comeback. They've been teasing him for a while now, and even the Duffer Brothers said that he's still alive out there somewhere. It would be really cool to see the Russians capture him to have him help them open their own portal back in Russia, but maybe after he did and he sees how ruthless they are and what they're going to do with the Demogorgons, maybe he searches out for Elle for help, or Elle finds him and he helps her get his powers back. Something big would have to happen to get them working with each other again, and I can see something that disastrous happening in Season 4. And I originally thought that he wouldn't just do it unless it was because he loved her. He would do it in return for something, or because he needed her to have powers to fight the Russians if they turn on him, or if he doesn't agree with their intentions. But even still, then he would have to experiment on Elle, trying to figure out how to get her powers back, unless they bring up that he's taken her powers away and given them back to her before when she was little and he knows just what to do. I mean, she's his love child, the thing he's worked his whole life towards. So maybe once he learns what he's created has been undone, he'll be happy to get her back to her full potential. And Brenner does start with B, so it's pretty safe to say that he's going to get killed off soon. Either in Season 4 or in Season 5 if they want to try to make another. I mean, even before Season 2 came out, the Duffer Brothers mentioned in an interview that they're thinking it will be a 4-season thing and then they're out. So there's a good chance Season 4 will be the end-all be-all, and everything is going to be wrapped up in this season. Brenner comes back in the picture, has a redemption arc, dies, Hopper fights a Demogorgon and escapes a Russian prison, Elle goes through challenges to get her powers back, the Russians successfully open their own portal finally to the Upside Down and weaponize Demogorgons, other numbers are recruited, including 8 to help Elle and her friends as they go to the Upside Down to fight the Mind Flayer once and for all. I mean, but that being said, holy cow, that's a lot. I can't wait to see how they work everything out this season. They've got a lot of loose ends to tie up and storylines to follow, but maybe Brenner giving Elle her powers back so she can stop the Russians will be what redeems him and makes him good right before he has to sacrifice himself somehow, saving Elle. Kind of like what we saw Billy do at the end of Season 3. Because as much as we hate Brenner for all the terrible things he's done to Elle and her mother and all the other numbers, a solid redemption might just be able to change how we view him. I mean, look at Billy. If he didn't stop and turn good at the last second to save Elle and give the kid some extra time, everyone would have been glad to see him get killed off. He was horrible to his little sister Max and all of her friends. He was such a great bad guy, and even still, we were sad to see him go because of how he went. So I'm thinking maybe they'll try to do the same thing with Brenner. I'm not hoping to like him, but I'm sure they could give him an amazing redemption arc and then put Elle in a life or death situation in the end, and Brenner sacrifices himself so that everything he's been working towards his whole life can live on. It kind of makes sense if you think about it. It's almost poetic. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I would love to see Brenner bond with Elle and right some of his wrongs by helping her get her powers back to save the world. There was also a theory which is slightly less plausible, but more of just a cool idea that we talked about in my Hopper getting powers video that if you haven't seen, you should definitely go watch. We were saying it'd be cool if Hopper got zapped when the death ray exploded and the radiation mixed with the green goo in the other room and gave him some sort of powers he'll learn to use, and they'd maybe be support powers to Elle and help her get her powers back, and then they could fight side by side against the Mind Flayer in a father-daughter type thing. I mean, it's a little more unlikely than this, but I still think it would be really cool to see. And also, thank you to everyone who helped me a day or two ago with the polls. If you didn't catch them, I reached out on the community tab and asked you guys what kind of videos, in addition to the Stranger Things ones, you guys would like to see from me. And the vast majority landed on superhero shows like The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and maybe a few others. I really want to keep growing and expanding the channel, so I appreciate all the help and support as we're moving forward. Let me know in the comments what types of videos you'd like to watch from me in addition to the Stranger Things videos, preferably superhero shows and stuff like that. Still going to be making some Star Wars videos and a few random ones here and there, but the algorithm doesn't seem to know what audiences to show these to, or just doesn't want to. So we're going to be trying some new things in the upcoming videos. Thanks again for all your support. Come talk to me and say hi in the comments. I really appreciate all the love the videos have been getting. We just recently hit 100K and we're already at 115, so we're making great progress. I'd love to hit 200K by the end of August. I know it's a stretch, but I also know it can be done. And I'd like to start trying to make more than one video a week. This is actually my 10th video in a row without missing a weekly upload. Super happy about that, proud of myself, and I want to just grow the channel faster, especially while everyone's at home in quarantine and able to watch videos. I hope you all are being safe. Have a great rest of your day, and until next time, I will see you in the comments. Peace.